Settle down, brother. This is the Quarter Report powered by ENCA.com. South Africa is a movie. Welcome to the watch party. Well, Shadrack Sibiya, the first of Mkhwanazi and Masemola and Khumalo's ops, appeared before Parliament yesterday. And Shadrack Sibiya, in no uncertain terms, said that General Mkhwanazi lied to South Africa and misled South Africa right from his July 6th press conference. We're going to work through all of the different claims and, from my opinion, at least, confusions and distortions. I have once again had to make a list to make sure we cover everything. 8 important things, at least, amongst others. 1, that Mkhwanazi lied. 2, that Brown Mogotsi warned Shadrack Sibiya that crime intelligence was investigating him. How did Brown Mogotsi know that information? 3, that Shadrack Sibiya has met Matlala 5 times or less. We're also today going to find time to tell you about the fact that the Gauteng Health Department head has been placed on suspension. That's involving the SIU investigation into Tembisa Hospital. We're also going to tell you about how the Madlanga Commission has moved to have their latest hearings in camera for safety reasons. We're also definitely going to find time to tell you about the fact that Enoch Godongwana had to reappoint the right Maseko to the PIC board. They appointed the wrong Maseko and fully onboarded the wrong Maseko. They couldn't tell the difference between an Umpumelo and an Umpumelelo. And just before we move on, Nigeria, please do what you have to do tonight. Please. Bafana and Safa have so royally screwed up what should have been an easy qualification to the World Cup. Wow, that was a long intro. There is too much going on. The only place to watch the full show is on enca.com. Click on the link in the description. Also, if you're on YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe. If you want to follow our, follow our WhatsApp channel, not subscribe.
You are so old.
You don't know it either.
You're an old,
you don't know it either.
Man.
You looked it up too. We both didn't know if it was a subscribe or a follow, but follow our WhatsApp channel. So let's work through these 8, I think, headlines. So there was a lot of other stuff that Shadrack Sibiya said. Mkhwanazi lied, misled South Africa without information. So what largely was that about? Most significantly, Shadrack Sibiya was saying that Mkhwanazi had claimed that Sibiya had taken away these 121 live investigation case dockets on the Provincial Killings Task Team in KZN back in March, and they'd just been rotting on his desk since then, which had stymied and stopped those investigations and stopped arrests from happening. And later, others also said and implied that Sibiya had been going through those 121 case dockets to find information on members of the Big Five drug cartel, Matlala and KT Molefe in particular, the only 2 names from that alleged Big Five drug cartel. Sibiya, by the way, said, well, if you've got evidence on this Big Five cartel, why have none of them been arrested for drug charges? And was a large part of his defense, is like, everyone's been blaming me for stopping these investigations into these arrests, but all of these people seem to believe they have information and had the power to arrest these people already, but they haven't. Why am I being blamed for that? The one quote about the case dockets was, why blame me for 3 months of the case dockets not being there, instead of, he claimed some of the dockets have been there for longer than 3 years, had the warrants and the powers within them for, with one signature, the PKTT and others, to go and arrest alleged criminals. And he said, why haven't they happened then? Why didn't they happen before? This has got nothing to do with me. I didn't stop those arrests. They could have happened any time in the last 3 years. But the crucial thing that he said was that those dockets were not in his office. He said, if anything, they were at some kind of headquarters in Pretoria. They were within the jurisdiction of the National Police Commissioner. And this is huge, right? Fannie Masemola, National Police Commissioner. Everybody has been talking about how he is with Mkhwanazi, was trying to protect the PKTT, stop it from being disbanded, was unhappy with Senzo Mchunu orders towards him, felt that Mchunu was undermining him and bypassing him by directing Shadrack Sibiya to disband the Provincial Killings Task Team. But Masemola at Madlanga and last week in the ad hoc committee was kind of like, I was just doing my job. This is my job. This is not my job. And at Madlanga, they asked him a lot, like if you're given an order that breaks a law, will you follow it? And there was a huge conversation about that. Shadrack Sibiya claimed that he and his office got an email from the Office of the National Police Commissioner to disband the Provincial Killings Task Team on the 3rd of January. And that's where a huge gemors happened. Because a lot of the conversation has been about Shadrack Sibiya allegedly, along with Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, allegedly wanting the PKTT to be disbanded. You remember that there have been back and forth claims about whether or not either Ramaphosa was in agreement that the PKTT should be disbanded, or whether he really enjoyed the PKTT's work. There was a lot of conversation, has been a lot of conversation about whether or not the PKTT was meeting the end of its agreed upon cycle and should be disbanded after the elections. Shadrack Sibiya's point was that everyone, including Masemola, was in agreement that the PKTT should be disbanded, that there was no pushback whatsoever, but that the question was how it was going to be disbanded. How many phases of disbandment? Would it be over a long period of time? Would it be immediate? Would the PKTT be allowed to complete their work that they were working on? Or would it be like moved to different departments earlier than that as the PKTT was slowly disbanded over a period of time in stages? Sibiya said yesterday that the taking away of the dockets were one of the stages. And again, he said some of the dockets were old, no arrests came from them then, even before they were taken away. Sibiya shouldn't be blamed for those arrests. And that's where he's talking about his belief that Mkhwanazi and Masemola and Dumisani Khumalo also have been trying to throw him out under the bus and get rid of him as a person at all within SAPS. He said that many task teams aren't monitored, they're a law unto themselves. That's really bad. He spoke about some of the allegations around the PKTT involved in the University of Fort Hare and people being arrested and people being bribed, and like 2 buildings of the university were just burnt down, and there's an enormous scandal over that. The heads of the University of Fort Hare have come out and said that it was outside forces, not students, and there are insidious criminal networks trying to take out leaders of the University of Fort Hare because there's a mafia that's trying to take advantage of the money in a university like Fort Hare for their own ends. So this is all really, really relevant conversation about the PKTT and the University of Fort Hare that we don't have time to get into today, but we will get into very, very, very soon. Let's talk about the other stuff, right? Because he was asked a lot about Brown Mogotsi. He was asked a lot about Kat Matlala. He said that Brown Mogotsi warned him that crime intelligence was investigating him with the view to removing him from SAPS. And then he was asked, well, why didn't you block? Why did you listen to Brown Mogotsi? Surely you knew that he's just this ANC fixer from the Northwest, some kind of businessman. Shadrack Sibiya also mentioned he'd only met Brown Mogotsi twice, and the one time Mogotsi left without paying for breakfast, and then Sibiya had to call him back to make him pay for the breakfast because he wasn't going to do it, some weird stuff like that. But Shadrack Sibiya said, I wasn't going to block Brown Mogotsi because he works in information, and if he was sending me information that was useful to me, then I wasn't going to block him or ignore him because this was information about people trying to take me out. Of course, the response to that is, but Brown Mogotsi was not supposed to have that information. Surely your first duty and calling as a police officer is to report people who have access to privileged information that only top-level SAPS leadership should have access to at all, right? Surely that was the first instinct, not to let Brown Mogotsi continue to pass you information that Brown Mogotsi should never have had in the first place. Shadrack Sibiya also said that he met Kat Matlala 5 times or less. It's too many times. It's too many times, Shadrack. 1, you are unwilling to count for us exactly how many times. 2, why have you met Kat Matlala 5 times or less? What is that about? Really, why did you do that? And then he said none of the provincial killings task team dockets involved Kat Matlala, which is a big deal because remember, Shadrack Sibiya has been accused of having a close relationship with Kat Matlala and KT Molefe, and has been accused of trying to stop investigations into them, and has been accused of taking away those 121 dockets from the PKTT to stop them from investigating Matlala and Molefe, but also allegedly to go through those dockets to find out if there was any dirt on Molefe and Matlala in order to pass it along to them to help them protect themselves better from the law. So those are all really big revelations that I'm sure he's going to be absolutely cooked for today in Parliament. And then the 8th one, which I think is super interesting, is he denied the authenticity of some WhatsApp messages. So there were WhatsApp messages he was talking about, messaging deputy ministers, people who are connected to his work, even though they're political forces. And then there's one message where he refers to somebody as comrade, which is obviously a telltale warning sign about ANC language, about speaking with people on the team, in the kind of network, in the Congress, I guess. But it also reminds us instantly of last week when Gen Mkhwanazi spoke about how SAPS was compromised by politicization, and about how more and more SAPS officials were offered jobs, either in formal ANC political structures or working for private security for ANC individuals or being part of their teams or whatever. And even those who were not offered those jobs and left SAPS started to use the language of the ANC in and amongst the normal ranks and workings of the police force. So started to call each other comrade, starting to see each other through the lens and describe each other in the language of politics rather than policing, which is a really, really big deal. So those are the 8 things that I think are most important about what Shadrack Sibiya said yesterday. He said a lot of other stuff. Is there anything else that stands out to you?
I think the key with a lot of this is that he's clarifying a lot of stuff, but not really adding that much new information, which makes sense. They allowed Masemola and Mkhwanazi to make the opening statement. So this feels like a rebuttal. But it is just weird the way that he is clarifying stuff without completely, in my eyes, dispelling stuff.
I don't think he's clarifying it at all. I think he's muddying the waters to make us try and doubt, right?
Yeah.
Because clarity would be, no, I didn't do that. Here's the evidence.
Yes.
So, but like the headline is Mkhwanazi lied. That's very clear. But then a lot of this other stuff is like, oh, but why didn't this happen? Oh, but why didn't that happen? It's not actually clear rebuttal.
If someone says you have a relationship with someone like Kat Matlala and you say, oh no, I met him 5 times or less.
That's not what we're asking
That's
you.
not dispelling. Mkhwanazi came through and had such clarity. And he clearly, whether by his own volition or with the team or whatever, was so clearly prepped on how he was going to present this to be such a clear narrative. And you see Masemola and Dumisani Khumalo come through with that same level of preparedness of like, this is this, this is this, this is this. Like even think about something as simple as when they said the big 5.
Yeah.
Having that graphic with the skulls on it.
Yeah, it was weird.
Which was bizarre. But that is such an effective way. And you see the results of it. People were so much more willing and open, besides other aspects about like wanting to believe that all this stuff is the case with Mkhwanazi's allegations. When it's so clearly presented as Mkhwanazi and the people that are generally associated with him have done so far, for Shadrack to come through and present like this, whether he's correct or not, because we still need to hear all the voices in this scenario, he's not doing himself any favors. And he still has to go to Madlanga, presumably, to do the same thing. And he's going to be skewered by legal practitioners, people who are analytical. We're already what's happening now. I'm following the live updates. He's already getting frustrated and has already had to apologize to a member of parliament, an ANC member of parliament, for getting upset.
And it's funny. A lot of people have been saying the ad hoc committee is like some way better than the Madlanga Commission because of all these revelations and MPs asking questions. And I hear you. There's a different kind of like ask him anything nature to the ad hoc committee. But you know what the difference is? Even between like the best ad hoc committee questioners, like I think Julius Malema is a phenomenal questioner at the ad hoc committee. He's been very effective and he asks very good questions and his kind of engagement style is very powerful. Even he has got nothing on the A team.
Yeah.
Adila Hassim, are you joking? Like Chaskelson, are you joking? Like those guys are the ones at Madlanga who are going to be able to go, no, we're not moving on until you explain this. This piece of evidence actually means this. Do you have any other evidence? But you said this, but you didn't say that. But you said this, but you didn't say that. Like those people are professionals at that. Adila Hassim headed the Life Isidimeni investigation and was on our ICJ case, South Africa, trying to stop Israel from committing genocide in the Gaza Strip upon Palestinians. So as much as the spectacle of the ad hoc committee is far more spectacular and we can get more dirt and have more scores settled between more people, Madlanga is drilling down to the core of the evidence, and that's the stuff that will probably end up in trials and actually make a difference.
I've also just been getting frustrated with the ad hoc committee. We're getting a lot from it in terms of revelations and stuff. But my sense, particularly with Masemola, is that he was used and the time that they had there was used to settle scores and clean the reputation of certain parties. So we spoke yesterday.
Not Masemola though, you mean the parliamentarians.
The parliamentarians questioning Masemola.
So like Ashley Sauls, basically.
So Ashley Sauls tried to clear Kenny Kunene's reputation. Ian Cameron came through and the headline from what he asked was essentially,
my committee did no wrong.
Hey, it wasn't us, right? Like we were fine. There's no way that we could be in the wrong here.
MK2.
To have something as important as this ad hoc committee and for them to use it to clear the party names, it is so disappointing when what this is supposed to be.
But the other thing is, and speaking about Malema again, they're talentless at this, not Malema. So I said Malema is talented at this just now. But like, there is a way for you to try and clear your party's reputation without becoming a national embarrassment and actually doing the opposite, making your party look worse, which is what happened with Ashley Sawls.
Totally.
It's like, if you were good at this, like you would have been able to cast doubt on whether Kenny Kunene was at Katie Malefe's house twice. But instead, the way that you did it made us all go, oh, the PA. Like, oh my word.
But it also makes me feel so disappointed to think about this is like the high stakes, high level, focused on committee. It was revealed that there was a committee on Western Cape gangsterism.
And no one went.
No one went.
Yeah.
And you just think, and you look, we get these reports every year about how many times parliamentarians have gone. I mean, the headline a couple of months ago was MK not fulfilling their mandates and not fulfilling...
No, they didn't arrive to vote on the budget. It was a big one.
No, it wasn't just that, but it was also like they had the worst attendance record by any party. But that's also coming from a very low bar because a lot of them don't pitch up.
Exactly.
Which is why the good governance play, not just from people like the DA, but also from small parties like the Ultimate Fighting Championships and like parties like that are effective because the bar is so low for these people
I agree.
to do their jobs.
Yeah, like you often talk about how much good work Songezo Zibi is doing on RAF.
But that's just because he's doing his job.
Totally.
Yeah.
But like we appreciate him because he's actually doing it.
And the fact that he's a standout is what irritates me.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're exactly right.
You're going to have another sip of your vodka, Daniel.
It's not vodka to those of you who asked, although if I start slurring towards the end, it's not.
It's because he's so old.
I'm sorry, but you are going to as many weddings and having as many friends with babies as I am right now.
Yeah, I'm mature for my age. You're old. Anyway.
Go watch Skadonk. No, shame, I did that already today. Never mind.